Africa just did something the world was not ready for. Not a festival, not a parade, not a tourism hashtag with a celebrity concert attached. No. For the first time in modern history, African countries are creating real, legal pathways for global African diaspora to reclaim citizenship, identity, and home. So these aren't temporary visas or hotel discounts, they're citizenship with constitutional rights. They're calling it the Great Return. And today, we're breaking it all the way down. But before we do, if you want more Africa First stories that Western media often ignores, hit subscribe. All right, let's check it out.
Benin government has voted through a law that would give African descendants nationality of Benin. This is incredible news because not a lot of African countries are doing this yet, but a few have already started. If the person that wants nationality for that country is a descendant of the ancestors, African ancestors that were taken due to a slave trade, they are going to be given nationality. According to reports, the Benin government stated that the slave trade had left deep wounds on Africa and the descendants of the deported people, and it wished to help reconnect these descendants with their origins. Millions of enslaved Africans were dispatched from the shores of West Africa, including from Benin's shores, following the adoption of a law on 30th July paving the way for recognition of Beninese nationality for Afro descendants. The government published the terms of the decree on 20th of November. According to the same report, people from Haiti, Brazil, and the Caribbean are showing interest in Benin. Hence, they are traveling more to Benin and they are seeing an uptick in tourism or visitation to the country, which tells you that some people, not everyone of course, some people are interested to find out about their roots, to go and look for ancestry and to be part of the African people. So even though Benin is not the first country to pass this law that will welcome African descendants and allow citizenship to be given and to welcome them home, Benin for sure is one of the top countries that have opened up their country, which is incredible. This is what we talk about. Like when we're saying come back home, you have to also facilitate, like the systems needs to change. You can't say come back home and you don't give out nationalities, passport, you don't give land, you don't make it easier for the people to come and join and be part of the community and society that is here. So well done, Benin. It's a great move, a step towards the right direction.
All right, guys. So that's just an example of one country. So this isn't a tourism event. This is not just the year of the return. This is legal and political shifts that are reshaping the continent. So many African countries, such as Ghana, Sierra Leone, Benin, like we just saw, Liberia, Somalia, Rwanda, Botswana, Cape Verde, Mauritius, and Eswatini, have all created or expanded real pathways for ancestry-based nationality, dual citizenship, diaspora naturalization or heritage verification, diaspora voting, and investment rights. So examples of this are in Sierra Leone. Over 6,000 individuals have been granted citizenship since 2021. So that's based on DNA matches. In Ghana, the right of abode is expanding. In Benin, residency leads to nationality. In Rwanda, investors from the diaspora are being offered special residency and business rights. In Liberia, dual citizenship was legalized for the first time in 170 years. So the West, is in shambles right now because so many people are having the opportunity to return home or have dual citizenship, spending half the year at home, half the year abroad. So the assumption here is people think that it's hype or a social media trend, a few ceremonies and some photo ops. Some of them may be. But the reality is, Africa is passing binding legislation, right? So real laws, real rights. And so examples, like we said, for Sierra Leone in 2021 Citizenship Amendment Act, um, Ghana's Immigration Service expanding diaspora residency, Rwanda, Benin, Foreign Affairs Ministry, Liberia's constitutional amendment. So these are verified policies, not TikTok or Instagram posts, right? And so these rights include national ID cards, land ownership, business rights, voting rights, inheritance, community organizations, access to state programs. So this isn't symbolic Africa. This is legal Africa, right? So these forces pushing the movement are critical because the African family has been scattered. So now the continent wants their loved ones back. So over 200 million descendants of conflict worldwide live outside of the continent, right? Diaspora economic power is massive, right? So African individuals in the U.S. send home 1.8 trillion, or they hold 1.8 trillion in economic influence. Global geopolitical things are shifting, right? So Africa wants partnerships, not pity and not aid. So this isn't tourism. This is Africa reclaiming its global family. And honestly, a lot of these DNA companies are confused, right? Because how can they tell so many people, exactly where they're from? So take a lot of it with a grain of salt until Africa actually gets in and does the work for ourselves, right? So this matters because Africa gains global ambassadors. Diaspora citizens bring political influence, media leverage, tech expertise, academic networks, and investment capital, global alliances, right? So this isn't soft power, strategic power, especially for a lot of the quote celebrities that you see from various countries that are getting African citizenship as well. So hopefully they'll be great ambassadors for this initiative. So Africa is strengthening its demographic future. So returning families bring new languages, new industries, new cultural bridges, and education models. And excuse me, the continent becomes younger, more diverse, and more global. So and healing historical trauma is important because. Imagine spending your entire life searching for home, and one day the government says, we never forgot you. Citizenship is not paperwork. Come on home. Economic transformation. Diaspora communities invest heavily in housing, tourism, agriculture, tech startups, cultural institutions. And it's important to be able to protect these investments, right? Store your money at home, right? Instead of other places. So a new identity narrative is important as well. So for centuries, outsiders have defined African identity, and now Africans and the diaspora are defining it together. So this is identity sovereignty, a global family writing its own story. So where is this going? And don't drop off yet because this is where it gets great. So a Pan-African diaspora visa. So the AU is already discussing it, a continent-wide visa for verified African descendant applicants. Diaspora seats in the African Union Parliament. So like Italy's overseas MPs, but Pan-African. So imagine an MP for African diaspora, right? So one for United States district. Heritage-based African passport. So a long-term plan, limited free movement, huge symbolic value as well. So Africa, Caribbean, Latin America, homecoming alliances. So Brazil, Jamaica, Barbados, Guyana are all drafting diaspora bilateral agreements. And the 1 million return initiative. So by the year 2035, the goal is to formally integrate 1 million diaspora members. So Africa's not reconnecting with history, it's repairing it. So, and if you think that's powerful, just wait until you see when Africa unifies all together, inshallah, very soon. So Africa is not just opening its doors, it's opening its arms, right? The Great Return isn't about passports, it's about restoring broken circles, broken families, and completing a story that began many, many, many years ago. So MashaAllah, that's your African insight for today. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because on Mr. Empower TV, we don't chase the headlines, we chase the truth behind them. This is Mr. Empower, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.